Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a beautiful morning. Today I wanted to sit down and film an updated review on the Chanel Classic Flap medium large versus the small size. So I wanted to film this video because the last time that I did a review like this was 3, maybe almost 4 years ago. So I wanted to basically do an updated version of that because when I filmed that video, this bag was quite new to my collection. So it was my first small classic flap and a lot has changed since then. I've definitely got to use the bags way more over this past couple of years. I also moved. I don't live in the same continent anymore and my lifestyle changed quite a lot. My way of dressing changed too. So I wanted to share what I think about them now, which size I prefer, if it's a small or the medium, and the pros and cons, and just little things here and there, and if I basically change my opinion. The Chanel Classic Flap has always been my dream bag, my most used bag, and just what I gravitate towards the most. From the moment that I started to get into bags, it just kind of has consistently been like my style of bag and my preferred bag and just like overall my favorite. So first I'm gonna go into the details of both of the bags. So this is my medium classic flap in gray lambskin with silver hardware, and this bag is from the 19B collection. I've had this bag since 2019 and I looked up and down for this bag because I was obsessed with gray, and Chanel doesn't really release often gray bags. So when I saw gray in lambskin and also with the silver hardware, because I just feel like this complements the bag so much more than if it was gold, I went crazy for this bag and I really love it. I use it so much. It has a total of 8 diamonds. The Chanel Classic Flap has this amazing back pocket that I love so much, and it's called the Mona Lisa back pocket. On the inside of the bag we have this zipper that is actually quite useful. Sometimes I keep some cash there, hair ties, but it's supposed to be for love letters. It's definitely not a big pocket. It basically only goes up here, but it's definitely useful. Then we have a slip here. This one is quite big, so if I'm traveling, I do like to put here my passport. Again, also a really good place for cash or for anything that is slim that you can put back here. This is the second flap and this is there for structures. So this helps the bag maintain its shape. The small, the medium, and the jumbo have the double flap, and as annoying as it can be sometimes, you get used to it that when you open it, you just grab both to open with one hand. But definitely at the beginning, I would find it just to be a little bit like on the way. We have this front pocket, and then on the inside, I do have an organizer that it's mainly to protect the leather interior, and inside it's basically just an open space, but we do have this one in the middle that's supposed to be a lipstick holder, and this other two that honestly I rarely use. This bag is in the small size, and this one is also in lambskin, but in light gold hardware. It's such a shiny, beautiful lambskin. You can see the difference from the gray one, that it's a bit more matte and this one is more shiny. This bag is from the 21P collection, and we kind of all call it the caramel bag. This collection was super popular. I looked for this bag up and down and it was almost impossible to get. So a big shout out to Preloved for making this happen. I got this bag 3 years ago, and again, this was my first small classic flap, so I have definitely used this bag so much, and I did change a little bit my views on which size I prefer. But going a bit into the detail of the bag, it also has the Mona Lisa back pocket. It's pretty much identical to the medium size. It also has the zipper. It also has a double flap. On the inside, it's just exactly the same. So let me show you the bag side by side so you can have a bit of a better idea of the size difference. To be completely honest, the difference is not that big, but I can tell you that what fits inside of the small is not that big of a difference of what fits in a mini, and this one does fit a bit more to be like a daily bag. This is on the side, and I think that here is where you're gonna be able to see most of the difference. Also, I wanted to note that something that happens with the small classic flaps, especially when it comes to the 21P, because I get this asked quite a lot, it's about the quilts. Because if you can see the bag up close, there is a misconception that Chanel will never cut a diamond like just right here. It's usually always either in the middle or just where the diamond finishes, like this one as an example. I honestly used to think that too, but then I found out that it was just a myth. Pretty much every single small classic flap from this collection in this color, and also on the green one that I used to have, they are all like this. If you search on Instagram hashtag Chanel 21P, you're gonna basically see all the bags with the quilts aligned like this. It also goes from collection to collection and the size of the bag, because when it comes to my mediums, they all finish like this. Let me bring my black one. This one is is in the classic black and it's also a medium, and as you can see, this one also finishes with the quill. So going into measurements, when it comes to the small classic flap, it's 23 centimeters for 14.5 and 6.5. I'm gonna put it in inches on the screen too. And when it comes to the medium, it's 25 centimeters for 16 for 7. I think also for size reference, I'm going to put my phone next to both of the bags. So this is the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and this is how it looks against the medium and against the small. Something important to take into mind is also the strap length. So the difference is not really that big, but the small classic flap strap is a little bit longer. The chain is actually the exact same length, but the difference between the bags is that because the small is smaller, the distance here is not as big, so this allows the chain to be just a little bit longer. So I do find the small to be a little bit more comfortable when I use it crossbody versus the medium, but the difference is really small, to be quite honest. It is something to take into account. I'm going to insert some Modshots of the bag so you can see how they look on the shoulder with the double strap and crossbody. I do feel like both are great sizes for every day and they're very comfortable. I am 5'1", so I can kind of pull them off as a crossbody, and I do find that to be quite practical, especially because I walk around the city quite a lot. Now let's go to what fits into each of the bags. Okay, so now we're gonna compare what fits inside of each of the bags. I'm gonna start with the medium so you can see basically what I would put on a normal day. So starting with my wallet, this is one of the smallest wallets that I have, and this is the Chanel Snap card holder. This is the wallet compared to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and this is the one that I usually take when I'm gonna take either of my classic flaps because it just doesn't take that much space inside of the bags. I usually put it standing right up so it takes a little bit of less space. This is a mini O-case, so usually here I have hair ties, peels. It's like a little catch-all that I usually have inside of my bags and fits inside no problem. This is my vlogging camera and it's the Osmo Pocket 3. I love it because it's super small, so I usually can take it inside of my small bags. It usually comes with a case, but when I'm gonna take one of this, I try to be very careful, but I take the case off and it goes in right here. And as you can see, no problem. The next thing is, of course, my phone. And usually my phone, I like to put it in this front pocket right here. I also take a pair of sunglasses, a lip gloss that it's going to fit no problem inside of the bag. And I just wanted to demonstrate how the passport fits right here on the back with absolutely no problem. And this is usually where I prefer to put them, just because I feel like they're safer back here. Also papers or anything that I just don't want to be right here on the main part of the bag, and it's gonna close no problem. This is how the bag looks like, and what I tend to take with me, minus my passport, that was only for demonstration. So all of this fits in the medium, and I'm gonna try to put it inside of the small. And let's see how much I can actually get away to putting inside. So starting with the passport, which I think we're not really gonna have any problem with it, I'm gonna put it back here. And now starting with the main compartment, we're gonna put the wallet, which is a necessity for me. Now let's put the O-case inside, my phone here on the front, which is quite snug. As you can see, it starts to make this. So in this one, I usually have to put it on the main compartment because it just doesn't fit. As you can see, it's just not fitting. So let's take this one out. And we have basically the phone, the wallet. Let's add the lip gloss, sunglasses, and we can basically forget about putting the camera inside. So basically these two items did not fit. So as you can see, the medium fits definitely more than the small. And if you were to compare the small size to the mini rectangle, for example, it's actually quite similar, but the thing is that the minis don't have many aspects that the small classic flap does have. I don't know how to explain it, but the small does feel like the actual classic flap, whereas the minis do feel actually like a mini version of it because they don't have the double flap, they don't have all the interior aspects, and the strap doesn't really work the same. So I don't know, I've just always felt like I'm more drawn to going for the small, just because the small does feel more like a proper handbag and the mini does not. Now let's compare the prices, and I just want to know that when I talk about the US prices, these ones do not include tax and the ones from Europe do include tax. So the difference of pricing between US and Europe is actually quite substantial. So when I bought this one, it was actually retailing around the 5,000. As of today, The medium classic flap retails for 10,800 USD or 10,300 euros, and the small retails for 10,400 USD or 9,900 euros. So basically they have a 400 euro dollar difference between each other. But if you want to, for example, compare the small versus the mini rectangle retails for 5,200 USD or 4,950 euros. Now, talking a little bit about the pros and cons of each of the bags, I would definitely say that a really big pro that the medium has is that it just fits more. You are quite limited with the small into what you can put inside of the bag. It just fills up super fast, and there's some medium-sized items that are just not gonna fit inside the bag. I would say that they're both equally as good when it comes to using them on the shoulder with a longer strap and the double strap, but when it comes to crossbody, I do have to say that I do prefer the small for that. In terms of weight of the bags, I don't really notice much of a difference, so I would not consider that as a point between either of the bags. One pro of the small that I do have to say is that it's a really good bag to go from day to night, because it's a smaller bag, still fits enough to go on a day to day, and it does quite well as a night bag. It's just the better bag for that than the medium, that I see it more as a full day bag, will fit your essentials. It's a very comfortable, practical, beautiful bag, but I do sometimes feel like it's a little bit too big when it comes to dinners and night out stuff. Taking into mind the price, I would say that, of course, if you want to save $400 or euros, I then would go for the small, but I would definitely take into account more than the price difference if you do want the extra space that the medium offers. Another important aspect would be the resale value of the bags. As we know, the Chanel Classic Flap has a really good resale value, maybe not as good as it used to be a few years ago, and actually before I would have said that the medium had a better resale value than the small. This was like 3-4 years ago, but right now I would say that they're both equal on the resale market. I think it goes more into the condition, the type of leather, the color of the bag, and all of that more than the size itself, because I feel like if someone wants a classic flap in, let's say, a yellow, I don't think it's a deal breaker if it's a small or a medium. I personally don't mind that much because I don't feel like there's that much of a difference between them. So with that said, this is a great day to evening bag, and the medium, I would say it's an amazing daily bag. I used to prefer the small a little bit more over the medium for the past couple of years, but I do have to say that in the past year I have been gravitating a little bit more towards the medium just because of that extra space. Sometimes when I'm out and about, I do like to take my vlogging camera with me, and when I have the small with me, it's basically taking all the space, so I have to be very mindful with what I take. And here I can take my little camera, my wallet, my lip gloss, my keys, and I don't have that problem. So because of that and my day-to-day necessity when it comes to having to bring my camera, I'm just using my medium a little bit more, but honestly nothing too crazy. I really play day by day. I adore both bags and I use them so much. Also, something to note, the Mona Lisa back pocket is exactly the same size, so that is also important to note, because I used to think that this one was smaller, but no, they're actually the same size. You can pretty much see that here. That is also not really a factor. I don't know if I missed anything, but if I did, please leave it in the comment section down below and I'll make sure to get to all the questions. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing and click the notification bell down below so you don't miss any of my videos. If there's any other bag review that you would like me to do an update or any topic in particular, please leave it in the comment section down below. And if you're not done watching my channel, I'm gonna leave you tutorials right here in case you want to check them out. Thank you and see you on the next one. Bye.